Hello and good afternoon. It seems, Gary, it was pre-decimal when we last did this. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Yeah, it's it's a month, isn't it? Because yeah, you were on holiday in Italy last time.
I was, yeah, I was, yeah.
Was that nice?
It was fantastic. I was in Bologna for about a week with a day in Verona as well. My daughter's graduation over there, her birthday celebration. It was just wonderful. Seeing my granddaughter. Fantastic time in Italy. Lovely. What a great country.
Yeah. Well, compared with that, fairly boring, really. Still doing the live open mic poetry.
How can you describe that as boring? Kayaking, open mic. Well, I guess that's just normal to you, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I like pushing the boundaries. Put it that way. The right kind of boundaries. You know, you assume you are something. You're defined by your history. And I decided, as you know, quite a long time ago, no, I'm not having that. I'm going to do what I want to do.
Yes.
So I'm just finishing off a rewrite of a book, which will be out probably towards the end of the year. Who knows what's next? Don't know.
Yeah.
I submitted a short story to the New Yorker.
Of course you did. Yeah. Well, before breakfast, no doubt. Yeah.
It'll get rejected, but it just felt good. Hitting that send button.
There's some positive thinking. Maybe our guest today can help with that. Reframe your chances of getting published in the New Yorker. Tell us a little bit about Sue, who's our guest today, Gary.
Sue is somebody I came across on Substack, and she's got this amazing Substack called Confidence Matters. And it just gives people a very simple, straightforward, non-guru-y like framework to either enhance the confidence you've got or find a little bit of it to begin with and then build. And she was a guest essayist or poster on the Positive Echo Substack last August. And it really hit home. What she does is very practical. It's not airy-fairy, highly academic. It's just, if you want to be able to do this, try this. And that really aligns with the way I think and feel about the world. So Sue is brilliant.
Excellent. It sounds like something to build on. It sounds like the starter dough of confidence, maybe, and it develops into not only a daily and lifelong habit, but something that might get passed through the generations as well. Let's find out if that analogy stands up at all. And I've got to say, I've got a quiz, Sue, about living in the town where I lived in Devon as well, which we chanced upon just before the show. So let's bring her onto the stage. Hey, Sue, lovely to see you.
Hello. Thank you for the lovely introduction, Gary. And no, I'm not academic. I can't even spell it. So
Excellent.
Simple. That's me.
There's enough people out there, well-meaning. I think they're well-meaning, but they sit behind their capability, their knowledge, and they don't make it every day. And you make it every day. And
it's lived experience with me. It's not qualifications so much as actually going through the experience.
Yeah. Great. So we're going to cover a lot about confidence and confidence matters. And we mustn't forget your confidence circle, which is part of your Substack, where people can really work with you. And we'll mention that at least once more. Okay. And the link will be in the video description. So let's kick off with, I guess the simplest question would be, how do you see confidence? What is confidence?
Yeah, so I think there's a difference between confidence itself and self-confidence. So I work more with self-confidence, so how you see yourself as a person. Whereas, so the way I look at it is confidence is your ability to do something. So, I can do this. I'm confident at doing it. I've done it like maybe your job, or for you, like speaking in public now, your open mic days, doing this podcast. Whereas self-confidence is more how you feel inside. So whereas one it may be how you show yourself. The other one is how you feel about yourself. So that's your self-confidence. And there can be a big difference, because, you know, you could look at them, what you see as the most confident person in the world, and realize that they are just shaking on the inside. They're really wobbly. So the two don't always go together. So that's basically my very basic definition of confidence.
And sometimes confidence, external confidence, kind of slides into arrogance, doesn't it, if you're not careful?
It can do, if you are not confident but you are acting confident. So I think acting confident when you don't feel confident is a good thing to do, but it only works short term. And if you take it too far, it can come across as arrogant, because arrogant is the look at me, I'm fantastic. Whereas inside you're thinking, actually, I'm not fantastic. I'm just telling you I am in the hope that you'll believe me. And most people can see through that after a while.
And do you feel people either are self-confident or aren't, or there's a kind of gradation? You know, it's a grey area.
Yeah, it is a gradation, really, because you can be confident at some things and not confident in others. So for example, for me, when I was not growing up so much, but I was very shy, had no confidence growing up. But then when I started working in my career, I had a very successful career. I knew how to talk to people. I was in retail banking for a long time, and I was very customer facing in my roles, and I grew to love talking to people. So I went from being this very shy person to being able to really build up really good rapport quickly. You know, even in all modesty, people would follow me from one side of the county to the other if I moved branches, because they wanted to deal only with me, because they trusted me. I told them the truth. But outside, for a banker, that's quite good.
What are you thinking?
It's unusual.
Yes.
So apologies to any bankers watching. I'm sure you're very honest.
They'll go.
No. What was I saying? I've forgotten that. Oh, yes. So I have forgotten what I was saying.
People will follow you from one side of the county to the other.
Yes, we've done that.
That's
right. Outside of work, I was very not confident. I couldn't hold a conversation. I was so worried about, what are they thinking of me? Am I saying the right thing? Am I coming across as interesting? And that was my big thing. I believed that I wasn't clever and I wasn't interesting. So why would anybody want to talk to me? So there was a big difference between confidence at work and confidence in social events. What I realized as I've really researched and got used to looking into confidence is that it was nothing to do with actually worrying about not being able to hold a conversation, because anybody can hold a conversation, really. It was not feeling safe enough to be able to get the words out. So my nervous system was thinking, look, you know, you're going to say something stupid. They're going to laugh at you. You know, you're not very clever. You know, you've got nothing interesting to say. So let's just shut up. Let's just be quiet. And it kind of zipped my mouth out and I couldn't say anything. So, yeah, it's really weird.
Like how people describe imposter syndrome.
Oh, that's what I was going to ask, Sue. Yes.
But only imposter syndrome in specific areas of your life.
Yeah, imposter syndrome usually occurs when you start something new, like a new job role is usually when it happens. Usually it only lasts a short while, but it can carry on for years. And it's where you're in a situation where your nervous system doesn't feel safe because you are doing something completely new. It doesn't, because your brain is, or the ancestral part of your brain is very much a drama queen. And if you do something that you're not used to doing, it just thinks, oh my God, you're going to die. This is dangerous. We can't do this. You're just going to die. Don't step on that stage. You know, you'll get eaten by something. It really has a hissy fit and tries to stop you. So with imposter syndrome, you're in a new situation. You're not sure what you're doing. And you think, if I ask for help, they'll just think I'm stupid and incapable, so I can't do that. So I'm just going to flounder around, and they're bound to see that I don't know what I'm doing. And then, you know, I'm going to get the sack. And then you start catastrophizing about everything that's going to happen. But usually once you settle down, you're all right. But I've got a friend on Substack, Bob Lewis, who I think he might be watching this. He said he was going to watch, but he was a very established, prominent attorney, and he suffered from imposter syndrome all of his career. And yet he was a high flyer. You know, he played golf with Donald Trump, for God's sake.
Hold your own in that environment, I suspect. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and he suffered from imposter syndrome. So it's something. It's just to do with how you feel, how safe you feel in the environment you're in.
So if I was to say, and I will let you come in, Carl, in a minute. If I was to say I don't believe in imposter syndrome, what I believe in is we're conditioned to feel inferior by life's experiences. How would you react to that?
I would say that's spot on. I mean, that is part of what imposter syndrome is. That's just a name somebody made up. But you know, when you break it down, it's how you feel inside about the situation you're in. And yeah, if you've been conditioned to believe that you're not good enough, that you're never going to succeed, and suddenly you get hired into a fantastic job, you're going to believe that you don't belong there because you're not that person. They shouldn't have hired you. It's a complete fluke.
And it can happen the other way around, that you're brought up to believe you're the best thing in the world and you can never fail and you'll become president, etc., etc.
Yeah.
We had a guest, remember Michelle Miniken, Carl?
Yeah.
She wrote, she's on Substack, but she's also an author, neurodivergent, and she's written a book, and her thing is good girl deprogramming.
Right.
Like the patriarchy over 1,000 years has developed a system for inducing inferiority complex in women in particular, but also people who don't show natural confidence. And so she is doing lots and lots of work on how do you reverse the program.
Right. Okay.
There's alignment with what you're doing.
Yeah, I'll have to look her up. Yeah.
Yeah,
but you were saying about it working the other way. Yes, of course, because if you've been brought up to believe you can do anything, and then when you're starting a new role, you don't know what you're doing. So that goes out the window. Suddenly you can't do anything.
Perhaps a double blow there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sue, I've got you in the I've sort of pigeonholed you as humans do, as being part of the zeitgeist of people being more authentic, and the reason I've kind of started to formulate that theory is the whole idea of being professionally confident, and that gives people a framework, doesn't it, in which to operate, improvise, and have some confidence, as you described in the banking world. And it seems that got people by for quite a long time, like your friend Bob, who went a whole professional career operating in that way, but in terms of true personal authenticity, may not have felt the same way personally. Now, it seems there's a bigger opening or awareness or understanding or acceptance of people really talking about that from a personal level now, in this age of vulnerability, transparency, and authenticity. Do you see yourself in as part of that great movement where it's really about who we are as human beings and coming to terms with that ourselves, and then how that's projected into the world?
Yeah, I think, one of the main pillars of self-confidence is accepting yourself as you are. So none of us are perfect. We've all got flaws. But we are brought up to think we need to be perfect. You need to be, you've got to make so much money and be successful. You've got to have a house and a family and a big car by the time you're 30 and blah, 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 all of this, all the things you're supposed to do. And I think really the younger generation, like they were talking about that they call them the Gen Zs, don't they? I was reading something yesterday about the Gen Z generation, that they are now thinking, well, actually, I don't want to do that. And we see it, don't we, with some of the younger Substackers. They're like writing from all over the world. They're just traveling around in camper vans and doing their thing. So I think this thing that, you know, you've got to be really successful and you've got to be this, that, and the other, it's starting to die a little bit now. People are starting to see through that.
Yes. And perhaps you were an early sensor or adopter of that. So how did that transition take place from banking and being a sort of professionally competent and confident person to thinking, I'm going to do this for myself in my own right as a person? And then how did you start helping other people with that?
Okay, yeah. So as I said, I was very shy when I was young. I had the impression, and you know, this is all because of how I was brought up and the things my parents did, my siblings did, and teachers, and it all goes into the melting pot to make us who we are at the end of the day. So I believed I wasn't clever. I believed I wasn't good, intelligent. I wasn't clever. I wasn't interesting. So I wasn't good enough. And that led me into 3 toxic relationships, because I also felt that my parents didn't love me. So I was looking for love and looking in the wrong places. That led me down a path where I had 3 really nasty relationships in a row. And when I came out of that, so by then I was in my late 30s, and I came out of those relationships, and I thought, I have to change. I have to, because otherwise I'm going to carry on going down this loop forever. So I have to start to build my confidence back up again. So that's when I started working on myself. And then when I retired, which was 2019, I thought, what am I going to do now? Because I wasn't even 60. I was just coming up to 60. I thought, what am I going to do now? I'll be a coach and I'll help people with their confidence, because that's what I've done for myself successfully. And that's kind of evolved over the last 4 or 5 years into actually what I think you should be doing, rather than building your confidence, which is always good, but also you should be really looking at how you live your life and live in a much more aligned, intentional life. And so bring in the self-trust, the self-love, the self-acceptance all together, to make yourself a person that you trust to go and take on any challenge, really.
So it grows from performance into complete I don't know, immersion into
integration, I like to think. So performance confidence is where you are acting at it. You're trying to be somebody that perhaps you're not. Like when I first started to try and improve my confidence in social occasions, I was forcing myself to have conversations with people, and I was making myself say things, and then going home and thinking, oh no, what did I say that for? Oh, that was terrible. And then for the next 6 weeks I'd be replaying these conversations in my head and beating myself up.
Really?
And I thought, well, this is making my anxiety even worse. So then that's when I realized it wasn't the confidence and not being able to speak part, really. It was the fact that in social situations, for whatever reason, I don't feel safe. So how am I going to feel safe? And how I did that was starting to stay in like if I went to a party or something, stay as long as I feel comfortable. And when I don't feel comfortable, leave. Tell myself, okay, I'm going to go and I'm going to speak to one person. I'm going to have a conversation. I'm going to go home and I'm not going to think about it. It will just happen, and then I'll go home and I can tick the box, because I'm very much a tick box sort of person. I can tick the box to say I've had my conversation, and then I can do something else and have a conversation in a shop, maybe take an item back to a shop, maybe complain about something, but just little things. I'm very, like Gary said, I'm very simple, step by step. This is how we do it, sort of way.
It sounds like mindful confidence as well. You know, there's a
Mindful, yeah.
mindfulness aspect, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
To this. Bob, by the way, is here, who is confessing
Hey,
to
Bob.
having syndrome
Oh,
in
bless
all
him.
aspects of life. Yeah, absolutely, Bob. You bless you, Bob, and thank you for being here. And that is, you know, I feel that. I think we all probably do on the screen here, don't we? To what that must be like. You know, some sort of sense of compassion for that, and be interesting to hear more, Bob, about how you've approached that and how that's been for you, and if what, if anything, you've done about that, or where you've got to in your life as a result of that. So thank you for being here. Yes, so you started working with other people then, Sue, and is there a big? I'm guessing there is a big market for people who want to be more confident.
Yeah, there is, but it
Yes.
takes different shapes. I mean, I've worked with people that have had they come with different issues, but underneath it's all underlying lack of self-trust. So people that want to lose weight, I have dealt with a lot of women that are trying to lose weight and haven't been able to. I have dealt with imposter syndrome quite a few times. That's quite common. I've helped people in relationships. So it's all sorts of things. People don't usually turn up and say, hey, I want to feel more confident. They normally say, I don't feel confident when I walk into a room because I'm too fat or something like that. Or I don't know how to start a conversation with a girl, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It seems to me when you really drill right down, this thing about social anxiety, and yeah, I'm a pretty confident person now, but I never used to be. I could be extrovert, but then I'd have to recover for a day.
Yeah.
They call them introverts now, by the way.
Oh, right.
What's that?
It's a person who can be very good at being extrovert. That's me. But I'm actually naturally an introvert. You, depending upon the situation, how much energy I've got, I can hover backwards and forwards. Anyway, the thing I realized about the social interaction, and this is from being a really young kid, I was desperate to be loved.
Same.
Not that I wasn't loved, but I didn't want to make mistakes that would allow other people not to love me.
Yeah.
You spend more time scripting and can I get the right words out? Am I standing correctly? Is my voice warm enough? You know, am I a monotone? Did I actually say that or did I not? And the first step I took in my 40s was, what would it take to love myself? And I started looking for things that brought me joy. That was it. And everything else had gone from that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
there's a really good book that I love. I recommend to a lot of people. It's by Kamal Ravikant, which is, if you've heard of Naval Ravikant, who is quite prominent on Instagram and YouTube. Well, Kamal is his brother, and his brother had a business company that went bust, and he got very, very depressed. He turned to drink. And he just went to bed and stayed in his bed, I think, for ages and ages. And then he thought, I've got to do something about this. So he wrote a commitment to himself and he said, from now on, I love myself. And he walked around repeating it in his head over and over again. I love myself. I love myself. I love myself. And his whole life started to change. Like, people started to speak to him. New job opportunities came up. It was just like he'd pressed a magic button just by making that commitment.
Well, that is magic, isn't it, at that level? And I want to ask you about that, Sue, because you know, this could be you know, it could be learning a skill like going, you know, dancing would be quite a good example, wouldn't it? You know, people want to be more confident on the dance floor, so they would go and learn the skills, dancing skills, and then that would fill a big part of the bucket of confidence because they now know what to do in that situation. And it might just be a small push or one drink rather than an extreme wallflower terror situation. But the more you look into this, and what really interests me about this, and not that it should be like this for anybody, but how the possibility for understanding how your personality got formed in the first place is also at stake here, isn't it? And this is really deep and wonderful stuff that if people do, I mean, and often probably they do present with, I would like to be able to talk to girls, or I don't feel comfortable in my own skin, that can go deeper and deeper. And is that what you find, that it goes right down to personality formation, and you can do incredible work with people as a result of that?
Yeah, you solve the surface level problem by digging down and finding the gold, if you like. What is the real problem underneath? And it nearly always links back to childhood. Something. So I can give you a good example. One of the ladies I worked with who wanted to lose weight, she actually didn't need really to lose weight. She was nowhere near overweight, and she was beautiful. I mean, at that time, I had a room in my home where I was seeing people. We didn't do online in those days, because this is when I first started out about 6 years ago. I think pre-COVID, we didn't do a lot online. So anyway, she came to my home, and my husband said, Jesus Christ, she doesn't need to lose weight. She's gorgeous. but anyway, she needed to lose weight. She was getting married soon, and she tried everything. She couldn't lose it. And we did some work, and we did some hypnotherapy as well. And we went back to a time in her childhood where she first felt that she was overweight, because she was saying she'd never been able to lose weight. And after a lot of digging, a few sessions, she remembered that when she was 5 years old, and God knows why they did this, but when she was 5 years old in the classroom, the teacher weighed everybody, them, and then said, I'll call her Helen for the sake of the podcast. Helen, you're the heaviest person in the room. And the rest of her life, was led by that belief. I'm the heaviest person in the room.
Wow.
And she couldn't lose weight. It's unbelievable. But as soon as we released that, she lost weight. She got married shortly after. She got 2 promotions within the next 18 months. All from that one little, I'm no longer the heaviest person in the room. She had so much confidence. It's like opening a floodgate. Yeah,
absolutely. Fantastic work.
It's such a powerful thing to be able to disprove somebody's belief about themselves, a false belief, a bedrock assumption that is negative. That's incredibly powerful.
This is why I like hypnotherapy and NLP, so neuro-linguistic programming, because you actually talk to the client and they work things out for themselves at the end of the day. I'm not actually doing anything. I'm letting them, because it's already in their subconscious. It just needs to be released.
Yes. Yeah. So have you got anything, Sue, then, for people who've been sort of switched on or been profoundly struck by the conversation we've had so far about where to begin? Hearing that I can't remember the case studies name. Was it Helen, you said?
I said Helen, that wasn't her name, but I'll say
No,
Helen.
I realized that. But for Helen's story, and people might think, well, I would love that kind of breakthrough. Where to begin with a journey like that and a discovery like that?
Yeah, I mean, your best bet is to find somebody to help you. So to find a life coach, therapist. But where you can start is by looking at what is it I'm doing that's sabotaging my progress. And, it really depends on what the issue is, but you need to look at, I would say, watch yourself, observe yourself for a few weeks. Like, what am I thinking? Like if you're trying to lose weight, when I pick up that cake instead of the apple, what am I telling myself? What happened just before? Because usually you find it's comfort eating. So going back to Helen, her husband worked nights, and so she was left alone in the evening, and she just felt lonely, so she'd grab anything and eat it, and she just couldn't help herself. This is why she couldn't lose weight.
Right.
So I would say the first step is to have a look at yourself and where are you being triggered, and start journaling. Journaling is an amazing thing. If you don't write it down, you can record stuff on your phone. You can even go for a walk in nature, get some fresh air, and think it through. So it's kind of journaling in your mind, but think it through as you're walking. Meditate, anything like that that gets you inside yourself, so you can have a good look at what's going on. But just what's your thoughts? Where are you thinking, nasty things? Where are you telling yourself I'm no good? What happened just before? Where do you feel that? Just like really take a good look at yourself.
I had a fantastic executive coach when I was an academic, and I was blaming myself for everything. Successful, but it was never enough. And he just said, when those thoughts occur in your head, just say out loud, that's interesting. And the words and the intonation give you 2 seconds to be objective rather than subjective. And I think that is perhaps one of the first steps that I'm perceiving that you're doing for people, is to help them. All those things you described, like meditation, going for a walk, is in a gap, and journaling, so you can see things for what they are, not for what the impact of them is, the emotional impact. And suddenly the brain goes, doesn't it?
You're separating yourself from that thought. So you're having the thought, but you're not the thought. So you just look at it. So, and this is why journaling's good, because you're tipping it out of your head and putting it on paper. So it's no longer part of you. You've just taken it out, and now you're looking at it.
And then when you realize probably 80% of the population, like Bob, is doing exactly the same thing inside their heads, that this is what it is to be human, you kind of let the pressure off a bit.
And I think we've got a context that's changing as well, haven't we? I mean, for me, there's possibly a revolution going on of awareness and mindfulness and changing our perspective on things. Well, I hope there is, because I think that's partly why we have the world we do, and why there's another one maybe breathing down our necks at the moment of a different kind of possibility. And I'm guessing, Sue, you would favor seeing this sort of work happening earlier in people's lives, or these tools being available earlier in life, so that when those decisions are made or things happen to children, that these things aren't nursed into 20, 30, 40 and 50 years later.
Exactly.
Are you seeing that? Are you feeling that? Is that a possibility for us as human beings, do you think?
I think so. For future generations, I think there's a lot of like parent coaches and children coaches now, like good parenting, which helps an awful lot, because nobody tells you how to be a parent. You're just given this child and said, there you go, get on with it. Do the best you can. And it's
possibly go wrong.
It's really difficult. So it's good to have somebody. I think every parent, as well as having a midwife, they should have a coach as well, to say, well, this is how you talk to your child, this is how you tell them off, and then they wouldn't grow up with all these complexes, thinking I'm hopeless, I'm stupid, I can't do anything right.
It is that thing of early on being told that you either are something bad or you're something good, and then you tend to live up to either of them. I watched parents, and I'd never dive in, but I just think, oh my God, do you know what the consequences of that one sentence you've just said in a kid at a terribly impressionable age?
And also, we do come to private conclusions, don't we? As children, and that's why I use the word nurse. We nurse thoughts that if we live in a culture where that's my private opinion about myself that I intend to build the rest of my life on, whatever the consequences, that's quite a society to belong to, isn't it? Rather than seeing that, like your coach did for you, go, oh, that's interesting. We might have that view about everything, mightn't we? That's an interesting point of view, rather than, thinking is taken so seriously, isn't it, by ourselves and each other, and judgment. These things are really just constant movements of our minds, but we tend to invest incredible energy and attachment to them as well, which brings certain sorts of results.
Yeah, and I think if we do have more curiosity and question ourselves more, I mean, you know, thinking of Albert Einstein, he wasn't very clever at school. I think, was he dyslexic? I can't remember now.
Yeah.
But he wasn't very intelligent. I don't think he could read till he was about 7. But he was very curious, and he would keep asking himself questions all the time. And he kept asking questions that he couldn't possibly answer, but he looked for answers. And I think he kind of grew his brain by doing that. I just wonder if it didn't blow up, really, but.
You don't really
that can happen also. Bob's got another comment for us here. Thank you for this one, Bob. Keep in mind that imposter syndrome is not the same as mere self-doubt. Thank you for that, Bob. Also keep in mind that people with imposter syndrome are actually high achievers. There's a lot of stake, isn't there, when you get to that? Who just don't think they actually earned what they've accomplished. Document your accomplishments by journaling. Thanks for that, Bob. I left a job rather than deal with that. I remember, you know, when you were talking about that, so I remember getting a job and leaving it rather than talk to anyone about it, because I didn't know that's what was happening. And that's, you know, that's the beauty, isn't it, about having this sort of conversation, such maybe that someone thinks, oh, actually, yeah, that's me too. I can get some help with that, rather than, you know, an inevitability happening that's not necessarily that positive. Sorry, Gary, you were going to ask something.
I was going to ask, not a yes/no answer question, but the people I've met who have said they suffer from imposter syndrome have tended to be natural overthinkers. Is that, to what extent is that what you find?
Yeah. I mean, overthinking is a classic symptom of self-doubt, because you're questioning yourself all the time as to, did I do that right? Did that make sense? Was that the right decision? And I think, yeah, so people with imposter syndrome, again, they are like questioning themselves as to is this the right job for me? Was it a fluke? Should they have given me the job? Maybe, like Carl said, maybe I should leave now before anybody finds out, before they sack me. So I'll leave instead.
I did that.
Yeah.
And the thing with high achievers, as Bob was saying, they're used to doing well, but everything, all the external validation they get is because they're good at their job. So, you know, you get promoted, you get told all the time, yeah, you're brilliant. And in Bob's case, he was winning his cases or whatever he was doing. He was like the golden boy. And then suddenly something goes wrong. I'm not saying anything went wrong for Bob, but suddenly something goes wrong, like you lose your job or your marriage fails, or, you know, something, or you become ill. And where's your validation then? You haven't got it coming in. So you suddenly think, that's it. It's over. I'm not good enough. And you start spiraling downwards.
Well, that's what I want to ask you about that, because it's not, having imposter syndrome is not a problem unless it's a problem, is it? And that's perhaps what we might look out for as humans. If, you know, if things aren't working out quite as we hoped, or if there's some nagging doubt, that those are the symptoms, aren't they, Sue, of maybe there is something going on here that I'm carrying that might not be especially helpful to me. Because, you know, there's nothing wrong with excelling at work and being brilliant at what you do.
No.
If there's an unpleasant or negative cost to that, then it might be worth a bit of coaching to take a look.
It's that underlying issue. It's not the fact you're in the wrong job. It's the fact that something inside you thinks you're not good enough. Most problems boil down to, I'm not good enough in some shape or form.
Is that what you found? You see that?
Yeah, you see it all the time. It boils down to something that you believe that tells you you're not good enough.
Yeah.
There's a wonderful woman, Nancy Klein, who wrote a book about thinking. Yeah. And she came up with this idea of thinking buddies. Brilliant. And the idea is that bedrock assumption, I don't have self-belief or something like that. And what you look for is the positive opposite. And then you give people the chance to play at being the positive opposite. So I don't believe in myself would turn into, if I know I have self-belief, or I believe in myself, how would that help me? Blah, blah, blah. And in the coaching room, you play it. Well, what would a confident person do in this situation? And they break it down into tiny, tiny, tiny steps. Like you were saying earlier, it's the art of the doable to begin with. So I highly recommend Nancy Klein's book.
Okay.
I think
and other resources, Sue, perhaps. I mean, what else do you recommend? We've touched on the kind of the signs that a little bit of coaching might be useful, the nagging doubts, the feeling of not being good enough. Is there anything else you want to say to people who are thinking, oh yeah, this is a timely conversation, I'm glad I dropped in on this? What else would you suggest? We've got your website, of course, Sue Reid Coaching, and people can follow you on your, I want to call it a Sue stack. But it's, of course, a Substack, isn't it?
Substack, yeah. Substack's the best place. My website is probably a little bit out of date because I do most of my stuff on Substack now. So yeah, I think when that runs out, I'll probably just cancel the website.
Yeah, fair enough. Oh, I don't want you leaving here thinking your website's not good enough after all we've said.
No, it's absolutely fine. It's just probably not that up to date.
There you go. Let's read on Substack. That's a very straightforward fine.
Yeah. So back to a little bit of what Carl was saying. If somebody watches this and they go, I recognize myself, I'm successful, let's say, whether that be, working at a fast food joint or, you're a lawyer, but I just don't have a belief in myself. It's going to disappear tomorrow. What's the first thing they could do tomorrow to start the process?
Yeah. So one of the things you could do if you don't believe in yourself, you could just think to yourself, what have I done in my life where I've achieved something? And I'm a great believer in building a greatness list, what I call a greatness list of all of your achievements, right from the beginning when, you learn to walk, you learn to talk, you learn to feed yourself. Those are achievements. Those are huge achievements, in fact. But then you probably passed exams, you passed your driving test, you learned to ride a bike, you might know how to ride a horse. So when you think about it, there are loads and loads of things that you know how to do that you are probably quite competent at. I mean, if you think about driving the car is a great example, because when you start out, you have no idea what's what and how to get it to go in a straight line. And and then that was me. And then, you get in the car and you don't even think about it. You just drive. So there's lots of things that you will have done in your life. So just log them all. And then when you're doubting yourself, have a look at that list and think, well, yeah, actually, I've done loads of stuff. And also, when you don't feel confident, when you doubt yourself, just do something small that worries you, like go and have a conversation with somebody. Even just smile at somebody in the street and see what happens. Don't look down at your feet when you see somebody coming. Just look at them in the eyes and smile and just see what happens. Talk to somebody. When you're, if you're in Starbucks, for example, getting a coffee, talk to the barista. Just say something. Are you having a good day? How's your day going so far? Just
use their name.
Anything. Yeah. Sorry?
And use their name, because it's
use the name. Yeah. That's something I always did in my banking days, is always use the person's name. And you've got their card in front of you, but they think that you remember them from last time.
I've recently discovered a great way to start conversations, even one word conversations, is talk to people who are walking dogs. I don't have a dog. But if you look at the dog first, smile, and then look at the person and just say one sentence, they always come back with a smile and a thank you. And I find that just gets my day going when I'm walking. So
you can find yourself in the middle of a joke there, Gary. So, does your dog bite? And on it goes. Bob also saying we need to get over worrying about what other people think about you. Now, on the face of it, Bob, I think that's absolutely spot on. But however, Sue, it's not that easy, is it? To just today I'm not going to bother what people think about me, because that's the trigger, isn't it, of what we think about ourselves, presumably.
You will worry about what people think of you. But you've got, again, if you're having a conversation and you're worrying about what that person's going to think of you, just ask yourself, why am I thinking that? Why does it really matter what they think of me? And why would they not like me? What is it about me that they shouldn't like? And question yourself.
And even you could say that to them if you're feeling especially adventurous. You could say, do you know what? I am really. This might look easy to you, but this is I don't feel very safe or confident. And I'm really worried about what you're thinking about me. And that would be such a brave and interesting experiment. I mean, in the right setting, obviously, that could go horribly wrong.
It's got to a random stranger.
Yeah, that's right. I'm not necessarily talking about those sorts. But somebody you know a bit better, who you think will hold that space for you to hear that and respond to you, and not necessarily to give you a compliment or anything, but just to acknowledge that it's a difficult situation for you. That'd be a big breakthrough, I think, for many of us.
Yeah,
that's another thing, actually, talking about sorry, I just read the comment, it went out my head. Talking about compliments. If you give somebody a compliment, they will talk to you. So if you say something like, "Oh, I love your shoes," or "Oh, wow," years and years ago when I used to work on the counter, I always used to comment on ladies' fingernails, like, "Oh, I love your nail polish," and people love it. So just a little compliment is another real conversation starter.
Old guys like me have to be very careful giving compliments.
Well, I love your fingernails, Gary. You always have them done so beautifully. Right, it leads us to the big question, and I clearly you've made an impact on people's lives in banking, for one thing, but now in the world of confidence. You're clearly impacting people's lives in a fabulous way, not least with the fabulous case study that you shared with us of the lady we're calling Helen. How would you like to be remembered? This is the Positive Echo podcast. How do you see this in terms of legacy, and how you would have liked to have affected the world?
Yeah. So I like to bring love, kindness, and gratitude into the world. That's kind of where I'm rooted now. And so if I could leave people feeling that they receive love, kindness, and gratitude from me, that would be a good legacy to leave behind. And I would also like to think that means that I've left the world a better place.
Oh,
and we need love. We need love, don't we?
Don't we just?
And I've said it before, Cole. What you do, Sue, is leave a positive echo every day.
Thank you. I do.
It's not what people will say when you're finally gone that really matters. It's that thing you leave in them every time they read one of your Substack posts, every time you have a conversation with them. That's your living legacy.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
That really is very, very powerful.
Yeah. Well, Sue, thank you so much for being with us and sharing that, your message and getting to know you. And the remarkable coincidence that I may have delivered your post in the little Devon town that you live in. And I lived there myself for a few years in that lovely town, and worked up the road in Newton Abbot. It's extraordinary that when you say to someone, "Oh, it's just a little town on the edge of Dartmoor, you probably haven't heard of it." And my goodness, I know it well. So lovely to
it's crazy, isn't it? Like, how many people on Substack? About 5 million or something like that. And I find you that used to deliver my post.
Extraordinary.
I just love serendipity.
It is meant to be.
Yeah. And it's putting me in mind for a nice Devon pub dinner with a pint of I've got to stop talking like this because it's just really I live in Portugal now, and I'm not complaining about that, but that particular experience, the Devonian boozer with a nice dinner and a pint of local ale, is a wonderful experience. So thank you for that. Pleasant memories of that. Gary, we have a finisher from you, as is our tradition here with the Positive Echo podcast.
Well, this week I left it very, very late, but I found this article, which you should see the link in the WhatsApp. I love this website, Positive News. It thrills me every time. We don't really need to see any more than the title, How to Appreciate Art Slowly.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about you, when I go to an art gallery, I watch people, and the first thing they do, many of them, is go and look at the little text description.
Yeah.
Which immediately colours, if you pardon the pun, their view of the art that they're now going to see. And then they'll spend maybe 3 to 4 minutes looking at the picture, and then they move on to the next one. It's like they're collecting stamps.
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
I can't do art for anything. And that is my 5-year-old experience of being told I was crap at art, by the way. But I adore it, and I adore music. I can't play music. So I do remember going to the Orangerie in Paris and seeing Monet's Lilies, and spending the best part of 90 minutes just walking around this oval room, and then coming out and crying my eyes out.
Oh, fantastic.
Utterly overwhelmed by the beauty and the technique of doing it.
Yeah.
And then I suddenly realised I only go to art galleries to look at Impressionist painting. They move me more than anything else. And I thought, I've got to stop this. So I went to the National Gallery and went into the religious painting area. And I sat and looked at a picture that I would normally have walked past. And I made myself sit for 30 minutes, becoming comfortable with discomfort. And that was part of my ability to begin to be objective about the things that I assumed about myself. I assumed I didn't like religious art. And I would invite anyone to go to any art gallery, pick 5 pictures that you walk past and sit and look at them, or stand and look at them for a minimum of 10 minutes, and go right as close as they allow you to, and look at how it's painted, zoom right in, and then go way back, zoom out, and look at the overall impression. And that's what I think this article is encouraging us to do, is be much slower in the way that we look at art. And I think it was Olivia said
Olivia Meehan here, who's saying art has become, like everything in so many ways in our culture, art has become something to consume rather than contemplate. And this is so transferable, isn't it?
It
to
is.
How we're being in our transactional relationships. They might not be so much a consumption, but a contemplation of each other as well. Coffee, anything can be contemplated rather than just merely consumed, can't it? So a great shout on that, Gary.
And I think we all, I'm not going to speak for everyone. I spent most of my life not really able to find the words, the vocabulary to explain the deep and intense emotions that I have. There's a fancy name for it. And looking at art intently, without trying to find a story, without trying to understand what the painter was trying to tell us, just look at it, I suddenly started to be able to find ways to express what I felt.
Yes. Yeah.
So art, music, going out in the green. And you said earlier, Sue, about feeling it in your body.
Yes.
It's not just about thinking, it's the physicality of art that really is important. So that's my positive news for the week.
Yeah, and I think as well, if I may add on there, the kind of somatic experience of things bypasses the rational mind, which seems to do. Well, I don't. It's part of who we are, but we use it perhaps rather overuse it or are imprisoned by it. And I think I saw some beautiful art in Bologna, and I the classic thing of putting your hands behind your back and standing in front of it. There's a kind of art gallery pose, isn't there? And I knew I was doing that, but what I realized from what you're sharing there is we're resonant, aren't we, as well as human beings? By tuning in to the work, and that perhaps differentiates what is magnificent work and what meaningful work for human beings. We kind of tune into the process that's gone on to produce that by staying there in front of it rather than just taking a photo of it or reading the little thing next to it, as you say. And we can feel the artist's experience and maybe what's being depicted by suspending the rational mind and tuning in at a deeper level and really feeling it in the body as a possibility.
Even if I feel distaste,
Yes.
where am I experiencing that physically? Is it making me swallow? Is my gut churning? That's practice for those things that Sue was saying about becoming more a friend with yourself, the whole of yourself.
Yes.
Because it's those divisions between heart, head, and gut that bring most of the problems in life. And when we integrate them, everything's better. It's freer.
Yeah. Excellent. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, Sue, especially today. Sue. Yeah, all the best, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks' time for another Positive Echo. With grateful thanks to Sue here. Catch her on the Substack. If you look up Sue Reid on Substack, I'm sure you'll be able to find Sue Reid, who we talked to today. Thanks very much. Take care. Bye for now. Ciao.